So many people ask me, where do we see the future in property investment and development? The phraseology I hear a lot of is, it can't go on like this forever. We cannot sustain rises like we've seen. Well, quite simply, if you go back to when records began, you will see one common denominator in property in the United Kingdom, and that's that it's doubled every 10 years. Now, it's not a straight graph, it's quite a wonky graph, because obviously there are highs and lows, there are booms, there are busts, there are a lot of things, a lot of attributes that come about when looking at historical data. But I want to focus on what will happen in the future. These people are saying it can't continue like this, it won't continue like this, the cost of living is already too high. Do you know today in 2025 we actually have more disposable income and our mortgages in real terms are cheaper than they were in the late 1980s? So the answer is, folks, yes, it will continue like this. Now, when I was out with some good friends of mine who started off as business acquaintances and we've got to know each other well, we were talking about a property in Bettis, their property, which we had just had a mortgage revaluation in 2024 of £180,000. Yeah, 3-bedroom, end of terrace property, refurbished to a very high standard for the rental market, is now worth, according to an RSCS valuer, £180,000. Now, where will that go? Well, as they were holding their 3-year-old son, I said to them, by the time he's your age, in his mid-30s, this house will be worth £1.4 million. Now, you're probably laughing at the screen like they were laughing at me. But let me show you how I came, not to this assumption, but how I come to this conclusion. And that is because I dug up some historical data. This house was purchased by the previous owners under the council right to buy scheme in 1986 for £7,250. Now, let's assume they had a 25, a 30, a 35% discount. Let's work on the basis that the property was probably worth about £10,000 in 1986 when they were fortunate enough to buy it for £7,250. Well, if we fast forward over the years and we have a look at 1996 when we've doubled, we've got a figure of £20,000. In 2006, we're looking at £40,000. 2016, £80,000. And 2026, £160,000. But hang on, if you think back to the start of this video, I've told you we've already had a revaluation at £180,000 in 2024. So we're actually ahead of the scale. So moving on, and not at the speed this has moved on, but at my speed, obviously this property's moved on quicker, which is great news for everybody. At my speed, let's have a look. We're 180,000 in 2024. In 2034, we are going to be 360,000. In 44, 720. And in 54, a whopping £1.4 million. So when that 3-year-old is a 30-something, the property will be worth an astronomical £1.4 million, which is very hard to believe for a 3-bedroom, ex-local authority, end of terrace house. But it will be just as hard to believe for the previous owners when perhaps they were stood on their doorstep in 1986, when I believe Dire Straits' Money for Nothing was at the top of the charts along with Michael Jackson. It would have been hard for them to believe that in 2024 this property would be worth £180,000. They would have probably looked at you with the same bewilderment that you're looking at this screen, or indeed my clients and my friends were looking at me when I made the bombshell that the property will be worth £1.4 million. So what does that mean for you? Well, it means for you, you need to buy and wait. Don't wait and buy. Buy your property and wait, because there's lots of things we can do. We can refurbish, we can renovate, we can title split, all these things we can do to increase the value, but also we have the wonderful organic capital appreciation. So if you buy a house today under the BRR scheme, it's worth £150,000, you think to yourself, I only have 25% equity in this house, and I only have £100 a month cash flow. Well, guess what? In 10 years' time, and you don't have to do anything to achieve this, in 10 years' time, you will actually have £225,000 in equity, and you will have £1,100 a month cash flow. That sounds good, doesn't it? I'm not going to call it passive income because I don't believe in that. But if you have a good managing agent and a maintenance fund, there's nothing really which you need to do. So imagine if you could achieve 10 BRR, just 10 BRR deals, and look at them in 10 years' time. Imagine in 20 years' time. Now that's something for you to think about. But let's just think about 10 years' time. You've got over £10,000 a month of active cash flow. You've got an absolute wedge, well over £2 million worth of equity in these properties. And all for what? A bit of hard work today. Why don't you pick up the phone or click on the link below and let's talk about this and how I can help you achieve this for yourself. Don't worry about your pension. Don't worry about the state pension. Don't worry about retirement age. Let's actually do something for ourselves. Let's change our lives and let's change it today. Click the link. I want to speak to you.